Recently, Matthew Prince, the CEO of Cloudflare, shared very interesting perspectives during a recent interview. What he shared reveals some profound shifts happening across the internet right now. These changes could impact everything from how we search online to how businesses connect with customers. And of course, what all that means for the future of marketing. So, without a further ado, let's explore what's happening beneath the surface of the internet we use every day. If you're not familiar with Cloudflare, it is one of those companies that most internet users benefit from daily without even realizing it. They provide security, performance services, and infrastructure that powers about 20% of the entire internet. So, when their CEO speaks about internet trends, it's worth paying attention. In this recent interview, Matthew Prince shared several key observations that paint an interesting picture of where the internet is heading. Here's a distilled version of what he said. First and foremost, the striking thing is that what he calls the privatization of the internet. What does this mean? Well, according to Cloudflare's data, traffic to the open internet, websites you can find through standard search engines, is actually declining for the first time ever. Instead, more and more activity is shifting to closed platforms and private spaces. Think about your own internet usage for a moment. How much time do you spend in messaging apps, private social media groups, or closed platforms compared to browsing websites through Google? Cloudflare's data suggests this shift is happening on a massive scale. The CEO of Cloudflare noted that traditionally the open internet grew at about 20% per year, but in the last year, that growth has flattened and even declined slightly. Meanwhile, private messaging platforms like WhatsApp, Signal, and Telegram are experiencing explosive growth. These closed networks are becoming the new town squares where information spreads and communities form. This has huge implications for how information flows and how businesses reach customers. The second major takeaway from the interview concerns, you guessed it, AI. Cloudflare has observed that about 20% of all internet traffic now appears to be AI related, either training AI models or AI systems communicating with each other. That's an amazing figure when you think about it. He is of the view that we are in the early stages of an AI boom that will fundamentally reshape the internet. He compared it to the mobile revolution that started with the iPhone. In the beginning, we simply moved desktop applications to mobile devices. But eventually, entirely new categories of applications emerged that were only possible on mobile. Prince suggests we'll see the same pattern with AI, entirely new applications and use cases that weren't possible before. Another fascinating observation from the Cloudflare data concerns search. We all know Google has dominated search for decades, but the data points to significant changes happening behind the scenes. Traditional search engine traffic is declining, while AI powered search systems are gaining ground. But here's where it gets really interesting. Prince noted that more and more people are bypassing search engines altogether and going directly to platforms like TikTok or Instagram to search for information. This is especially true among younger users. Rather than Googling a restaurant review, they might go straight to TikTok to see videos of the place. This represents a profound shift in how people discover information online. He also highlighted the growing importance of security in this new landscape. As more activity moves to private channels and AI systems become more sophisticated, security challenges multiply. Cloudflare has observed increasing attacks on AI systems specifically, and he emphasized that security can no longer be an afterthought. It needs to be built into the foundation of every digital service. In my view, perhaps the most thought provoking part of the interview was the discussion of the internet's future. Matthew Prince described what he calls the battle for the soul of the internet, a fundamental question about whether the internet will remain open and accessible or become increasingly closed and controlled. He argued that the internet's original promise was to be a democratizing force that gave everyone equal access to information and opportunity. But various forces are pushing against this vision, from government regulation to platform control to the shift toward private networks. His perspective is that we are at a critical juncture where decisions made by companies, governments, and users will determine whether the internet continues as an open system or becomes something more restricted and controlled. Now, you might be thinking, is this just Cloudflare's perspective or are others seeing similar trends? I had the same question in mind. Much of this has been known in the marketing circles. Still, I did some digging into research from other major platforms and organizations, and what I found suggests these shifts are indeed widespread. In their Q2 2024 earnings report, Meta highlighted that engagement on their private messaging platforms, WhatsApp and Messenger, has grown significantly faster than their public social platforms. They reported that daily message volume on WhatsApp alone increased by 25% year over year, while time spent on public Facebook feed grew by only 7%. Mark Zuckerberg had talked about the future of communication becoming more private many years ago. Another interesting data point comes from SimilarWeb, a digital intelligence platform that tracks online behavior. Their State of the Web 2024 report found that direct traffic to websites declined by 11% over the past year, while traffic from social media platforms increased by 17%. This suggests people are increasingly discovering content within platforms rather than through traditional web browsing or search. They also found that time spent on messaging apps increased by 32% year over year, far outpacing growth in any category of online activity. Again, this confirms the privatization trend that Cloudflare identified. The Reuters Institute for the Study of Journalism published a report in 2024 which showed that 43% of users under 35 now say they primarily discover news and information through social media platforms rather than going directly to news websites or using search engines. This is up from 38% just a year ago. And when asked specifically about search behavior, 27% of young users reported using TikTok for search at least once a week, a figure that has doubled in just 2 years. The Reuters report also highlighted the growing role of AI in content discovery. They found that 19% of respondents had used an AI assistant like ChatGPT to summarize news or research topics in the past month. This represents an entirely new way of accessing information that bypasses traditional search engines and websites altogether. Another telling statistic from the report: the percentage of people who say they primarily get their news directly from news websites or apps has fallen from 32% to 23% in just 5 years. This decline in direct website traffic mirrors exactly what Cloudflare is seeing in their data. Ahrefs analyzed billions of search queries and user behaviors to understand how search is evolving. Their analysis of the data showed that zero click searches, where users get their information directly from search result snippets without clicking through to websites, increased to 65% of all Google searches in 2024. This was up from 58% in 2023. This represents another way that traffic is being diverted away from the open web. They also found that search queries containing phrases like TikTok or Reddit have increased 32% year over year. This suggests users are increasingly looking for information from specific platforms rather than the web at large. They are explicitly seeking information from closed or semi closed environments. Perhaps most tellingly, Ahrefs reported that search volume for traditional informational queries grew by only 3% year over year, while search volume for AI related tools and platforms grew by over 140%. This extraordinary growth in AI related search activity aligns with Cloudflare's observation about the rising proportion of AI traffic. So, what do all these findings tell us? They consistently point to several major shifts happening simultaneously. One, the internet experience is becoming more privatized and platform centric. Two, traditional search behavior is evolving rapidly with users bypassing Google for platform specific searches. Three, AI is becoming a significant driver of internet traffic and a new interface for information discovery. And four, direct website traffic visitation is declining as users spend more time in closed platforms and messaging apps. These trends have profound implications for businesses, marketers, content creators, and really anyone who uses the internet. They suggest we are entering a new phase of the internet's evolution, one that looks quite different from the open web that dominated the last 20 years. Going through these data driven insights and perspectives, I think it is important to highlight one point. None of these trends are affecting all demographic groups equally. The shift towards platform specific search, private messaging, and AI assisted browsing is happening much faster among younger users. This creates a sort of digital generation gap where different age groups are essentially experiencing different versions of the internet. For businesses and marketers, this means strategies that work for reaching one demographic might completely miss another. While deep diving for this episode, I realized that a single episode would not do justice to a crucial subject like this. In the next episode, we'll dive deeper into what these changes mean specifically for search marketing, SEO, and digital marketing strategies. We'll explore how businesses can adapt to this changing landscape and what marketers should be doing differently to reach audiences across these fragmented digital spaces. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to Likely Marketing wherever you get your podcasts and leave us a review on social media channel of your choice. Until next time, I'm Shiv, reminding you that in the digital world, the only constant is change. Thanks for listening.